Decorating your bedroom or apartment can be very expensive and quite frankly, very confusing as well. I've watched a ton of interior design videos and they really just left me way more confused. So today, I want to make it simple. I want to go over the best purchases I made for my apartment and bedroom, some things that are extremely affordable, in fact less than 20 bucks, and then moving into more essential items that although were very expensive, I am so glad that I bought them. So let's start off with the small upgrades because honestly, when you have your own space, you're never going to feel like it's enough. You're never going to feel like it's fully done. There's always just a cool thing that you can add. And recently, I picked up this minimal modern lamp. You may have seen these mushroom lamps online. They're all over Pinterest and TikTok, and I've always loved the way they look, but I've always found it hard to find one that was less than 200 bucks. But I found this one from Wayfair. They actually had a huge sale, and I love this one because it has this retro kind of vibe, and I love the fact that it's also cordless. The more stuff that you add to your bedroom, you want to make sure that at least a good percentage of it doesn't have to be plugged in all the time. That's just going to make your space look a lot cleaner and it's going to be easier to move as well. Like right now, I'm having it in the background of my videos, but since getting it, I've just had it in my bedroom. And no matter what room it's in, having a nice pop of green just looks so good. I really do love the color, but if that's not your vibe, check the website because they have a ton of different options. And by the way, in case you're interested in anything in this video, you can see the entire list linked down below in case you're interested to pick up anything for yourself. Okay, second thing is shoe organization. Since I have quite a bit of shoes, the place where I keep my shoes was becoming a total mess. At first, I bought shoe organization that was cheap, but didn't carry a ton. So I found it worth the investment to pick up one that has more storage. And I really do think that I found the best option because this one carries up to 20. And unlike most shoe racks, this one is not a complete eyesore because everything is actually tucked away. You can just pull out the cabinet and everything is super accessible. So it's extremely convenient. And this also should help reduce bad odors stinking up one spot because yeah, shoes can get very stinky. And when they're tucked away, those bad odors aren't going to be lingering. And bonus points if you use shoe deodorizers to make sure that space doesn't smell bad either. But yeah, this entire thing was a fantastic purchase. And I love it even more because the top doubles as entryway storage, which is always a good purchase. I bought this one for 100 bucks flat, which is definitely a little bit pricey, but if you have a ton of shoes, then it is a good option. But if you don't, you could definitely find something for cheaper. But me personally, so glad I bought this one. Okay, the next thing is wireless charging. But if you're going to be buying wireless charging, I think the best place to put it is next to your bed. This is just so convenient to just put it on here right before you go to sleep. And then right when you wake up, your phone is ready, fully charged. You never have to go searching for a charger that fell. Or if you get up at night, you know exactly where your phone is. I also love the fact that iPhone has this little display whenever you're using a MagSafe charger. And in case you're worried about this affecting your battery life, most modern phones, they cap off the charging whenever you don't need it. So yeah, your phone is safe, especially if you get a high quality MagSafe charger, because this one comes in with a built-in fan to make sure that your phone doesn't overheat. And they're not too badly priced. So definitely a huge upgrade that every guy should look into. Now where I keep this on is my nightstand, which is yet another purchase that goes such a long way. For the longest, I feel like it was just unnecessary, but now that I finally got one, it is so nice to have. Of course, investing money into organization is definitely some of the best money spent when it comes to your bedroom. It also adds just a nicer touch to your bedroom, especially this one that has a fluted design because it looks way more expensive than it actually is. This is very similar to fashion because I always talk about the fact that texture makes anything look more premium, and that's especially true when it comes to your bedroom as well. I really like this one because it has a built-in bookshelf as well as 2 additional drawers. So like I said, just extra storage that's really useful whenever you need it. Now a nightstand is really something that you don't want to cheap out on because those cheaper ones are extremely wobbly, they don't feel sturdy, and I just don't feel comfortable having expensive stuff on there. So you want one that's built durable. And I got this one from Wayfair for like 130 bucks. And if you want your space to look a little bit more cohesive, then you probably should buy 2, but for the time being, right now 1 is more than enough. And since I spoke about designated spots for specific things, I think the best purchase you can make is a valet tray. This is something that I don't shut up about, but it really is just a cheap purchase that goes such a long way. This helps you stay organized and not lose your things. Because me personally, life without a valet tray, I was just leaving my phone, wallet, and keys in completely random areas. But now that I have a designated space to keep essentially whatever I keep in my pocket, I just dump it out in a valet tray and it's always ready to go. And it's just another thing that just feels way more intentional, which really makes your space feel a lot better as well. Because sure, some purchases are just cool to have because they're aesthetic and they just look good sitting there. But what's actually worth the money is investing into things that serve a purpose in your room. And a valet tray is definitely that. Okay, now let's move on to things to add to your wall, because this is the one thing that every guy is lacking in. They probably have a really nice bedroom, but their walls are naked. that really makes your space feel like it's missing something. So first thing I recommend adding are some shelves, specifically floating shelves, because this also just looks more premium. It feels like it's integrated into your space rather than just buying something that makes your space feel more crowded. Floating shelves are the complete opposite because you could store stuff on here or display items as well. I really recommend corner shelves. I always get a ton of compliments on mine and they were super cheap. I bought them on Amazon, but they're also available on Wayfair. Or you can just get ones for the plain wall as well, like these that I have up in my living room. Now, if you want some recommendations on what to put on your shelves, first thing I recommend is a flip clock. This is another item that I get a ton of compliments on and easily the best $50 I've spent. First of all, the clicking noise that it makes is so satisfying, and the fact that you don't need any technology, you don't need any digital screens to be able to tell the time, I think that's really cool. And because it has these large numbers, no matter where I'm standing at in my apartment, I could always easily tell the time without a second thought. But because this is one of those items that isn't extremely essential, you really don't want to spend anything more than $50 on it. Since this is pretty much purely for aesthetics, just stick to your own budget. Next thing is going to be fake plants. This is another one of my favorite things to add just to give your space a nice little touch of color without having to spend a ton of money or actually keep real plants, because all of mine, they are in fact fake plants. But nowadays, fake plants look extremely real. For example, the one that I keep on my hallway. Most people are surprised to know that these are fake. Most people think that they're actually real. And sure, real plants, maybe they look just a little bit better, but eventually they will die off. And if you're lazy like me and you don't want to have to constantly replace them, buying fake plants for even as little as like $10, I think that's money well spent. Another thing that you could add to your walls are wall art. This is a good way to show what you're interested in and make your space feel more like you, because you're essentially adding your personality into your space. Whether that's things from media like movies, music, or TV shows, down to simple things that you're interested in. Or you could use this as a vision board. Whether you want to move to a specific city or you want to buy something that's expensive, I've always thought it was so cool to have a picture of that hung up somewhere where you're always going to see it. So things like this Rolex one or this Porsche one, I think it's just a nice addition to have. I got mine from Display and I really like these because these are metal. And for example, the Porsche one, they did a really good job of making this look like real wood, at least from afar, which gives it a different kind of premium feel. These you could find for less than $50. And like I said, everything's gonna be linked below. Okay, next thing you can buy is a whiteboard. This is such an underrated item to keep on your walls. I found it extremely useful to just jot things down or give myself a little reminder of whatever's coming up. Maybe you made an appointment or maybe you have to do something on a specific day. Writing it down on a place where you could always see it, I think is money well spent. And you can find these for like $20. I think this is particularly great to keep next to your workspace. I always find myself doing brain dumps on here or writing out my goals, so I have a constant reminder of that. Okay, so now moving away from the walls, let's talk about things that you could add to the floor. Obviously, number one thing are nice rugs. This is a great purchase to make your space feel more cozy. In fact, I just upgraded the one in my bedroom and I am so happy that I did. This visually makes a huge difference, but also stepping out first thing in the morning onto a soft rug just hits different. Now again, by no means is it extremely essential, but it is the easiest thing that you could pick up to make your bedroom look so much better. I will say though, rugs get extremely expensive. It was hard to find anything less than $200, and even that was actually quite hard to do, especially for the size. I got mine 8 by 10 feet, which is actually pretty big. I got mine in this gray color, which matches any type of furniture that I have. And since I am considering to buy a new bed frame very soon, I wanted to get a color that I know will go with everything. And like I said, this gray one is definitely going to do that. Okay, moving on into a floor lamp, whether it's a small lamp or a standing one. This looks good no matter what room you put it in, especially one that you can customize the color and brightness, because that's really going to set the vibe. And even better if it is a smart lamp, so you can control it from your phone, which is really nice to have if you have multiple different lamps. Because yeah, sometimes it just gets a little bit too tedious turning each one individually on, which I know is very privileged to say, but yeah, it's nice just being able to tell Siri to turn everything on. The best one that's also pretty cheap are these from Govee, because any other brand sells the same exact thing for hundreds of dollars. Now, other than that, there's not really a ton of small purchases that you can make for the floor specifically, but there is a saying that you should invest money into things that separate you from the ground. And I 100% agree with that. So first thing we gotta talk about is a good mattress. By far, the most expensive thing I will probably ever talk about in this channel, but I'll be lying if I didn't say this absolutely changed my life. Because before this one, I just had a cheap one that I had from Costco, and I always found that my back and shoulders were hurting, which is crazy to say, especially at the age of 23. But ever since switching to a high quality mattress, I realized that I was just operating life at about 70% because I constantly had just a little bit of pain in my back. But now that I'm constantly getting getting good sleep because I have a higher quality mattress, life just feels so much better. Now, because these are so expensive, either save up money so you could buy a good one or finance it for a low APR, which most mattress brands actually do offer. Now, that's only really if you actually need it, because of course I heavily advise going into debt for literally anything. In fact, I was in quite a bit of debt when I was younger, which is why I created my financial literacy little crash course. Pretty much everything I learned to get out of debt, manage my money, and use credit cards the right way to travel for free, all of that is what I go over in my little crash course, which is finally available today. So if you want to take control of your finances and learn how to use money the smart way, that is going to be linked in the description. Okay, next thing is going to be good pillows. Some pillows, I swear, are an absolute torture device. This was another thing that was hurting my neck and my back. So it is so worth the investment if it means a higher quality one. For example, I bought the one that was kind of trending online for a while, which is the purple pillow. At first I thought it was a gimmick, but let me tell you, it is actually so nice to have. And yes, it is crazy expensive, especially for just a pillow, but I've had this for coming up on 2 years now. And yeah, I am so glad that I bought it. Now, if you're taking the time and money to invest into your mattress and pillows, then it really only makes sense to also buy better sheets as well. Because yeah, most guys don't realize that this can actually make you sleep better. For example, there are plenty of studies that show if your body temperature is cooler, you will get better sleep. So buying something like linen or bamboo sheets that naturally keep cool, and because they're higher quality fabrics, they just feel so much nicer on your skin as well. I think it is so worth the money. I have these from Quince and I absolutely love them. Now, outside of the bedroom, the next purchase is a couch. It was so hard to find a good couch for less than $1,000. And yeah, even this couch, by no means is it an amazing couch, but it was the best affordable one that I found. And everybody thinks that I'm gatekeeping this. I really just thought that nobody would care about it, but this one is from Wayfair and I bought it for less than $800. So if you're moving into your first place and you want an affordable one, I think this one is the best option. And the next thing is going to be a desk chair. Since I spent hours on end, this is another thing that is worth the investment. However, I would definitely cap out at around $300 because yeah, I've seen some chairs for like $800. That is insane. Now, this one only depends on your lifestyle, because if you don't spend anything more than like 4 hours, then I truly think a cheap IKEA one is definitely more than enough. That's exactly what I had before that. But after a couple of 6-hour work sessions, my back and my butt were hurting. So I made the investment to this one, which I think retails for like $500, but I checked out Facebook Marketplace and bought it for like $150. So yeah, if you're on a budget, just check out Facebook Marketplace. They have absolute steals. And for my actual desk, another thing that I got was a standing desk, which I think it is so worth the money. I was seeing these online for a long time. And again, I thought it was a complete gimmick, but I am so glad that I got this one, especially one that is quite large as well. Not in terms of length, but actual width as well, because I found that buying a desk where you could actually rest your elbows in really prevents you from hurting your shoulders and your rotator cuffs. As corny as it sounds, that is an actual silent killer. So yeah, this one from Vernal is easily the best desk that I've ever had. And one accessory that I think was so worth the money as well is a monitor light. Since I'm always working at this desk, especially as it starts to get dark, my eyes always felt tired and drained. And a simple purchase that I made to help with that is a monitor light, because it just helps your eyes ease into the monitor rather than just a harsh contrast. I got this one from BenQ and I absolutely love it. The next thing are standing shelves. I already talked about floating shelves on the wall, but you are very limited on what you could put onto these because you don't want anything too heavy, as that might just cause it to break. So ones that you could put on the floor is definitely money well spent as well. I recently just bought 2 new ones and they were not expensive at all. In fact, I think they were each like $50. This, I'm planning to put heavier items, but what I do have on here is my air purifier. I promise you, this is the best money I've spent in terms of quality of life for my actual apartment. Not only does this make the actual air just feel a lot nicer to breathe in, but this also helps eliminate dust and bad odors. This one is from Gobi and you can find it for like $40. And if you have an air purifier, then you might as well buy a diffuser as well, because if the air is already clean, it makes your apartment smelling good so much easier. I recommend buying one with essential oils. I feel like essential oils just linger a little bit better as well. Now I want to move on to some things that you should add to your bathroom, because this is another place that most guys overlook, but there are ways to make this a little bit nicer. First one being is a stone bath mat. Whenever you get out the shower, last thing you want is to have your entire space covered in water. You want a bath mat to soak up all the water, and to prevent it from getting gross, get one in a stone material, because this soaks up all the water and dries up quickly. Next thing you should try is a shower filter. Most showers are actually really gross, and all that dirty water is drying up your skin and your scalp. So buying a shower filter just makes the water a little bit cleaner, and you are definitely going to notice it in your skin and hair. And if you actually do care about your skin and hair, then the next purchase you should make are softer towels. Most towels are just way too harsh, which dry up your skin and damage your hair. So getting some that are 100% cotton, not only is it going to dry you up faster, but it's just a lot more gentle for your skin and hair. Next thing I recommend are shower hooks. I love having everything that I need in the shower just conveniently there whenever I need it. That way nothing is falling, because yeah, I've dropped a few bottles of shampoo, which just spilled a ton of shampoo which is pretty expensive, and now I don't have to keep anything on the floor either. So now that you have everything that you need for your dream bedroom, the next step is to make sure that it always smells good. So if you want to learn how to do that, then check out this video right here.